Welcome back, everyone. Great to be with you. Excited to be continuing our study and our discussion. As we begin, we set our intention, focus our consciousness, and actually the sections that we've been studying are all about the importance and the benefit and the reason for our study. As we've been explaining that this is what helps guide our soul. This is what helps protect our soul. This is what helps overcome all aspects of our selfishness and our laziness, all aspects of our stubborn ego. This is, as we'll mention today, this is the only cure for the only disease. The only problem in this world is all the problems in this world all root from the desire to receive the self alone. So by connecting to the Torah, by connecting to the light of the Zohar, we are transforming all darkness at the seed level. We're meditating that we awaken more love within ourselves, more love in the world, awakening protection, awakening the light of peace, thanking the Creator for this great merit to live in such a blessed time that we have access to the Zohar, that we get to share the Zohar, that we live in a time after Rav Shimon has revealed everything already, and doing everything we can to help reveal it more of the light of the Zohar in the world. So let's read the prayer of the Ari together to open up our hearts, to prepare ourselves for this incredibly powerful moment, to connect to the Or Ganuz, connect to the Tree of Life reality. ריבון העולמים ואדוני האדונים, אב הרחמים והסליחון, מודים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו בגידה, ובהשתחוויה שקרבתם לתורתך ולעבודתך ולעבודת הקודש, ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה. ואנו בחיינו אשר עשית עמנו חסד גדול כזה. על כן אנחנו מפילים תחנונינו לפניך, שתמחל ותסלח. לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו ואל יהיו עוונותינו מבטלים בינינו לפניך. וכן יהיה לפניך לנו עלינו ולאבותינו, שתכונן את לבנו ליראתך ולאהבתך. ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו ותפתח לבבינו הערה בזאת תורתך. ויהיה למולנו זה נחת רוח לפני כיסא חפתך כך ניחוח. ותציל עלינו עומק כל נשמתנו וכל בחינתנו, ושית נוצצו ניצוצות עבדיך הקדושים, אשר עליהם גדית את דבריך בעולם, וזכותם וזכות אבותם וזכות תורתם ותמתם ושתם, יעמוד לנו ונגשה בדברם אלו, וזכותם תאיר עינינו, ומה שאנו לומדים כמאמר נעים זמירות ישראל, גלנה והביט נניפה בתורתך, כי אדוני תן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה, יהיו לרצונים ויהגנו מלפניך, אדוני צור בגואלי. So we're continuing on paragraph 128. We're in the middle of our discussion of how Joseph was thrown into the pit by his brothers. And it says the pit, as Zohar will soon explain, the pit was empty and it had no water. And the sages are explaining that water means the Torah. It means a connection to spiritual wisdom. It means a connection to the tree of life. And the Zohar has been describing the difference of a person who lives their life connected to this light and a person who lives their life disconnected from this light. So now the Zohar continues to explain paragraph 128. V'tachazeh, come and see. And remembering, every time the Zohar says come and see, it's not the Zohar teaching us another lesson. It's the Zohar awakening, opening our hearts. Opening our hearts to what the Zohar is about to say. That this is not just another lesson that we hear, but that we actually, it actually changes us, right? I'm sure many of us have heard this phrase of the Baal Shem Tov. He would say, if you're the same person you were after you prayed, than before you prayed, then why'd you bother praying? And that's the same thing. If we're the same after we connect to the Zohar, and if we're the same after we maybe not one day, but after a week, after a month, after a year, if we're the same after a year of connecting to the Zohar, then why did I bother connecting? Because it's supposed to change me. So every time we say tachazeh, that's our key. Every time it says Rabbi Shimon patach, that Rabbi Shimon opens, these are different opportunities we have to actually experience change, experience transformation through the light of the Zohar. V'tachazeh, kama hu onsha deoraita. Come and see the Zohar uses the word punishment, but we'll explain. We always define punishment not as the creator punishing in a way that we understand that, oh, you didn't do something, so now this is this is your punishment, your torture because of that. No. Come and see the negative effect, the consequence that a person causes themselves for what's called bitul Torah, neglecting connection to the Torah, neglecting spiritual work. The Creator is not sitting there punishing people. If you interact with electricity the wrong way, you experience a negative effect. If a person decides not to eat or nourish themselves or eat in a healthy way, they're not punished by how they feel or what happens to their body. It is just a natural effect. Same thing. If a person neglects the nourishment for their soul, then the result is a natural occurring thing that they're going to experience darkness. And I meant to read this yesterday. We didn't have the time. I'm going to just start with it now. It also still is relevant to what we're discussing. One of my favorite um, one of my favorite sections in the book Mesilat Yesharim, Path of the Just, of the Ramchal, the Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, in chapter five, which is, by the way, probably one of my favorite chapters, he discusses this whole concept of connection to Torah study, to wisdom, to connection to consciousness. And he speaks about how the result is, as we're saying, a person finds himself disconnected and in darkness. So I'll read some of his words and I'll paraphrase others, and I'll explain the general idea. It's just two paragraphs or so. It's the Creator who created our opponent within us. It is the same Creator who created the cure for that same opponent. And when the Creator says, Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati lo Torah Tavlin, when the Creator says, I have created the evil inclination, the opponent within you. I've created your ego. I've created the negativity within you. And I've also created the cure for that negativity, which is the study of the Torah, connection to the tree of life. And it's clear, the Ramachal says, if the Creator only created one cure for this singular disease, it's impossible to be healed by anything else. There's nothing else that will heal that one disease. The Creator says, I've created this disease, and I've only created this cure for it. And someone who thinks that they're going to find another way to overcome darkness, another way to overcome chaos, is mistaken. A person will only realize how wrong they were at the end of their life. The evil inclination, our opponent, is incredibly strong, very strong within each and every one of us. And without a person even realizing, the evil inclination slowly creeps up and eventually overpowers, and controls that person. And no matter what schemes and ideas and different things that are out there a person tries to do, and they do not take the singular cure for the singular disease, no matter what kind of things the person tries to do to overcome it, he won't even realize it. He won't even feel it. He won't even feel how the opponent is getting stronger, how this singular disease is controlling him. I mean, I'm sure we've all found ourselves realizing, wow, I can't believe how much ego, how much selfishness, how blind I've been. Or we see other people, it's easier to see in other people sometimes. How a person is so oblivious to their limitations, to their arrogance, because we don't realize it. Lema zedome. He says, he gives a parable. This is similar to Lecholeshe derash berofim v'ikro cholav. So a person, it's like someone who went to the doctor, and the doctor figured out the illness this person has. Ve'amalo shikach samzeh. He said, look, this is your medication. He prescribed him, take 2 tablets, do this. He gives him the exact medication for exact disease. And him with no medical experience. I'm not saying today when, there's probably a lot of corruption in the medical world. We're saying, let's say, something that is pure, something that is guaranteed, something that is true. And a person without um, this patient, without really understanding anything about the body, he says, you know what? This medication, no thank you. I'm going to just take whatever I think. Surely this guy will die. This is exactly the same. כי אין מי שמכיר בחולי היצר הרע ובכוחו המוטבע בו, אלא בוראו שבראו. The creator is the only one who truly understands the opponent, and therefore the creator is the only one who is able to prescribe the only cure for the only disease. And he told us the only cure for this disease is the connection to the Torah, is this spiritual wisdom, is this connection, is this light. Who can think that they can take anything else and think it's going to work? ודאי שחושך החמורות ילך ויגביר עליו מדרגה אחר מדרגה הוא ולא יבין עד שימצא שקוע ברב רחוק מן האמת הרחק גדול שאפילו יראי דברים לא יעלו על ליבו לבקש האמת. The person will find themselves in such darkness, such chaos, that they won't even be able to conceive any way. There'll be no way to get out of it. Any ideas they have, any desires they have, it's been so hard for them to come to truth. אך אם הוא עוסק בתורה באותו דרכיה. However, if a person at least desires and strives to be on this path, like all of us, and they follow the directions and the advice, and they connect to the light that's within it, הנה סוף סוף מאליו יתחדש בו ההתעוררות שהביאהו אל הדרך הטוב. Eventually, that awakening will happen within them, and eventually they'll find themselves on this path. Eventually they'll find themselves awakened on the path of goodness, which means the path of their soul. Because the light that's within it will bring a person to goodness, right? This is the phrase also when it says that when a person studies even without the right intention, without the right agenda, but they have a desire, then eventually the light that's within it will change them. The Zohar is not about what we understand. We're just accessing this light to overcome our opponent within. We're just accessing this light to remove darkness from ourselves and from the world. What we understand, what we don't understand, that's separate. That's almost irrelevant to the experience that we're supposed to be having. Our understanding of the Zohar is something different, which again, it's an important aspect of it. There's a lot of important things to understand. Our priority is the experience and the light that we reveal that shines upon each and every one of us when we make this connection. That is what changes us. It's not, oh, now I know why the brothers threw Joseph in the pit and now my life has changed. Maybe to some degree. But that's such a diminishment of what is possible compared to the light that we can actually and are actually receiving by making this connection. So let's continue with what the Zohar is saying. Come and see the the negative consequence of being disconnected from the light, being disconnected from the Torah. Now, the Zohar spoke before on a personal level. Now the Zohar is going to speak on a global level. The Hala Idgalu Yisrael Ma'ar Kadisha. The Israelites were only exiled from the Holy Land, from the land of Israel. Because they left a connection to the Torah. They did not have a connection to the Torah, to this light. And they removed themselves and they left this path. They abandoned themselves, right, by detaching, right. In other places the Zohar says how etz chaim hin machazikim ba, that we have to grab on, we have to hold on, and when you let go, then you're disconnected. So we have to always grab on. That's why, there's, I think this is maybe one of the easiest ways to do that. Every day we have our 35-minute session together, and we get to do this together. We get to encourage each other. We're a beautiful group, and we're growing, and this is a great way to do this. Hadar dichtiv, as it says, Mi ha'ish hachacham v'yaven et zod v'gomer, al ma avda haaretz v'gomer, v'yomer Hashem al azvam et torati v'gomer. So the Zohar quotes these verses from Jeremiah. Jeremiah speaks a lot about the reasons for the exile and the darkness and the destruction that happened at the time. A lot of his prophecies were about that. Jeremiah and Isaiah. The people at the time did not like them. So he says, what man is so wise that he understands this, right? What's the reason why they've gone through this darkness? Al ma'av da'aretz, the land is in ruin. It's like a laid waste, like the wilderness, none passing through. Right? Why did all the destruction? Why did all this chaos? Why did the exile? Why did everything happen? Vayomer Hashem, and God said, Al azavam et torati, because they let go of my Torah. They left the connection to the light of the Torah. It's the Torah that I've given them, a path that I've given them, the light that I've revealed to them, and they didn't heed my words. They didn't listen to me, and they didn't follow this path. Right? It's not some mystery why there's chaos. It's very simple, the Zohar says. There is a path to light and blessings, and there's a path to chaos. Our opponent takes us down the path of chaos, thinking that we're finding the easier way. But the only path to blessings is only through the path of the soul, the path of the Torah. Rabbi Yosef says, Mehacha, from here we learn, Lachen gala mi bli dat. Right? So it sounds like in the previous verses, it sounds like they didn't follow the path, and also because they left the Torah, they left this path. But it might sound that, okay, maybe they didn't do the actions. Maybe it's about not following in the actions. Lachen gala mi bli dat. He says, no, Isaiah says, I understand. Therefore, my people are gone. They've gone into captivity. They've gone into exile. Mibli dat, because they have no knowledge, because they have no consciousness. The consciousness is missing. Dat means consciousness, knowledge. If then the consciousness is lacking, the chaos comes. Why? Because the chaos is supposed to awaken me up. The chaos is supposed to bring me back consciousness. How am I supposed to come back to be conscious? It's when sometimes there's an explosion, when something challenging comes, then I say, oh my gosh, right? What have I been doing? Right? A person sometimes has some sort of life quake and they realize the path that I'm going is not the one for me, is not the one that's going to lead to my happiness. But that's the power of a connection to the Zohar, to the Torah, to this light, to this wisdom. You don't need the external explosions or life quakes. They happen within you. You realize, wow, the light is so powerful, and I'm blocked from it. I'm so far from who I'm supposed to be. There's so much within me that I still can change to be more like the light and more like the light. That's why Rav Ashlag says one of the issues with living a life based on morals and ethics, as opposed to a spiritual foundation, is you based on morals and ethics, you just compare yourself to others. right? Well, okay, at least I'm not that bad. At least I don't do that. That's never going to get you to connect or achieve your highest potential. You have to compare yourself to your soul. Compare yourself to the Creator. How do we know what's the right thing to do? What other people do? No, not always. What will always be the right thing to do is what would the Creator do? How does the Creator act? That's our bar. Paragraph 129, second paragraph of the day. Or we got to speed up a bit. Okay. Begin kach, therefore, kola kaima al kiyuma deoraita. Everything is based on everything. All of existence depends on the the Torah, on the sustaining of the Torah. Again, we're not talking about rules and laws. We're not talking about dressing a certain way and following certain laws. We're talking about this connection, the spiritual connection of this light. And yes, there are practical aspects of it that are important. But the most important thing is, as we said, the consciousness. Everything else stems from that. You can do all the actions, but if you're missing the consciousness, then obviously that's not it. And the world is only sustained, the world only endures and is sustained because of the Torah, because it is what sustains all the worlds, both above and below. That's also one of the reasons why the sages teach that there are 36 tzaddikim, 36 righteous souls, hidden tzaddikim, that sustain this world with their light, with their study, with their Torah, with their connection. Dichtiv, as it says, as it says, the Creator says, were not for my covenant enduring day and night, which means connection to the light, to the Torah. I would not have appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth. The heaven and earth cannot exist without this light. Paragraph 130. Going back to the story. The brothers took Joseph and they threw him into the pit. Ramaz al de'armiu le'lego Mitzrayim. The Zohar says that this verse is hinting. Just sorry, going back. I just want to say one more thing about what we said about the covenant and this path. We're talking about in paragraph 129. I put a note here. The path of the Torah that we're talking about is always going to come down to restriction. Torah's central column. So no matter what you understand, no matter what you do, if there's not restriction, if there's not transformation, if there's not sharing, like we said, the way of the Creator, then it's not Torah. You have to always come back to that. If it's not kindness, love, restriction, sharing, then it's not Torah. Okay. So it says they threw him into the pit, paragraph 130. It's hinting to it's hinting that they cast him later into Egypt. It's a place that there was no secret of certainty at all. Which means when it says that the pit was empty, it means there was no certainty. It was no Torah. There was no certainty. There was no light. They were sending him into Egypt. Egypt represents Mitzrayim. We're coming to Pesach soon, right? Egypt represents the lack of consciousness. The Israelites were not slaves in a physical sense. That right, the Rav would always say later in the desert they complained, take us back to Egypt. We liked it. We preferred Egypt as opposed to the freedom that we have here in the desert. Take us back to Egypt because it wasn't the physical slavery that was the problem, it was the slavery of their consciousness. So there was the lack of certainty, the darkness. That's what it says when they threw him into the pit. It was saying that he was going to Egypt, and actually all of them were going into Egypt, into slavery, into lack of consciousness, lack of certainty. Rabbi Yitzchak says, so when it says that there was no, the pit was empty, and there was no water, the Mishnah says, in Masechet Shabbat, in the Talmud, it says that while there was no water, there were scorpions and snakes. There were scorpions and snakes. Obviously, it's not a very fun place to be, right? If there were scorpions and snakes, why does it say, right? Because so let's recap what happened. So Joseph is sent by his father to check on his brothers. He goes, the angel Gabriel guides him to him, and as he's walking up to his brothers, as he's approaching his brothers see him, and they say, "Oh, here comes the dreamer. Let's kill him and let's see what happens to his dreams." Reuben says, don't spill blood, don't shed blood. Throw him into this pit that's here, that's in the desert, and no one touch him. And here the Zohar is quoting, he wanted to save them from their hands, save his brother from his other brothers, to return him, to restore him to his father. The Zohar is saying, if Reuben knew there were snakes and scorpions in the pit. Was he not afraid to throw Joseph into the pit with snakes and scorpions? Well, how is he going to? How is he saying he's going to return him back to his father? How is he going to save him if he's killed by the snakes and scorpions? How is he going to return him to his father? Or save him from them if the scorpions and the snakes get to him? 131. Zohar answers, Ella rather, Reuben saw, he saw that there was greater harm in the hands of his brothers. Because they knew how much they hated Joseph. And he saw that their desire was to kill him. Reuben says, it is better, it is safer for Joseph to be thrown into the pit of snakes and scorpions, as opposed to being delivered into the hands of an enemy, of someone who hates him. That they have no mercy on him, they have no love for him. From here, the sages teach, it is better to be thrown into fire, or into a pit of serpents, of snakes and scorpions, rather than being delivered in the hands of an enemy. Paragraph 132. Begin because in this place of scorpions and snakes, if he is righteous, if this person in this place is a tzaddik, the Creator will make a miracle for this person. And sometimes because of the merit of their fathers before them, their ancestors, there is a merit to protect that person, support for that person. And he will be saved from the challenge, from the danger. But if he is put in the hands of an enemy, it is very rare, very difficult, very few escape the hands of their enemy. When it's scorpions and snakes or animals, when it's elements, the Creator can intervene. But when it comes to another person's free will and the hatred and the ego that's within them, sometimes the Creator is not able to intercede in that way, because the person's free will exists and their ego can be very strong, and the hatred can be very, very full, let's say, very present. 133. He says, I'm going to save them, miyadam, from their hands. At least I'll save them. I'll save my brother from them. Whatever happens, miyadam daika, specifically from their hands, from them. Doesn't say I'll save him in general, but at least I'll save my brother from them, from his people who hate him. Rather, Reuven said, I'll save him from their hands. And if he dies in the pit, he dies. But at least it's not guaranteed by giving to the brothers. Therefore, as it says, That's why it says that Reuben heard them, and he delivered them out of their hands, from the brothers specifically. At least they won't die as a result of the brothers. Rather, if he does die, it'll die in the pit, and that's from the Creator. Let's say. Paragraph 134. We'll just end with this. Tachazeh, come and see. Kama chasidute de Reuven. Come and see the piety of Reuven. The begin the Yada de Shimon and Levi should. He knew that his brothers Shimon and Levi, Simon and Levi, shutfuta v'chachimuta v'chavruta dilhon kasha inun. Their partnership, their cunning, their strength is very harsh. When they join forces, when they're together, it's a very harsh judgment. Because when they got together in Shechem, after their sister was kidnapped, Dinah was kidnapped and raped, kadlu kol dechura, they killed every person there, every man there. La dailon, not only did they kill every man, ela denatlin nishin v'taf, they also took the children and the women and the children, the chasba v'dahava, and the silver and the gold, the chol be'ire, and everything precious there. And all the animals, excuse me. V'chol mane dikal, and all the precious things that were there. V'chol man de ishtakach bekalta, and anyone who was in that, and anyone that was in the city, everything that was in the city, they completely looted the whole city, killed all the men, took all the women and children, and everything valuable there. V'ladai kolda, and that wasn't enough. Eladafilu komad div chakla natalu. They even took everything in the field. They took absolutely everything. Dichtiv, as it says, it says they took everything in the city, but even everything out in the field. They took everything, absolutely everything. Let's just squeeze in one more, paragraph 135. Amar, Reuben said, Ma kalta rabta kihai. They managed to take over a great city like this, just the two of them as young teenagers. Laish Ziv Minhon, no one was safe from him. Not even the great city was protected from them. Imagine if this young boy, this young teenager, falls into their hands. They would not be nothing, not even a shred of flesh left from him. Right, a whole city compared to just one guy. And therefore he said, Tavdish tezeva minayu. It's better at all costs to save him from their hands. Because it says that the two of them decided to kill him. Ish elachiv, one man said to his brother, it was Reuben and Levi, as we read earlier. There would be absolutely nothing left of him in this world. And if I leave him in their hands, they would leave nothing of him, and there would be nothing left for my father to see. I have to do everything to save him from my brothers, specifically from Shimon and Levi, Simon and Levi. We'll continue with paragraph 136 tomorrow, with this part of the story, and then we're going to go into the whole dynamic of Judah and the story of Yehuda and everything that went on with him, with the prostitute and everything that goes on. Thank you for joining. Lots of love to everyone. Have an amazing day. Let's keep in mind what we spoke about, the connection to the Torah, the consciousness. This is the priority, and you want to sprinkle it throughout your day, right? Take this light into the day with you. Have an amazing day. See you soon.